So let's go ahead. Let's move on to the final team left in our season reviews / 2023 previews, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we get into the Philadelphia Eagles, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the draft. So if you can help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. All right. Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of people are mad about a holding call, turf conditions. But all in all, I think if you're an Eagles fan, you have to be pretty happy with the way that 2022 turned out. Yeah, it might have ended with a sour taste in your mouth, but you went from being a wild card team to being the number one team in the NFC by a pretty wide margin, right? Not really even close. You had a top 5 offense, top 10 defense, and your team's pretty young, right? Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Jordan Davis. I know James Bradbury is a unrestricted free agent, but I like what the Eagles have going forward. They're primed to be a contender for the next 5 years, if not more. So,
yeah, they definitely have a lot of talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think Jalen Hurts is absolutely the guy. I'm glad to see him doing well. What a game! What a Super Bowl to watch. I think he will definitely win a Super Bowl for the city for sure. The offensive side, I think they made the right moves. Devontae Smith is panning out. I had my concerns for him just because of his size, getting AJ Brown and signing him. And then just with that offense that they had, they did lose Shane Steichen. I want to make sure I pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, Shane Steichen.
I heard he was kind of the offensive mind around the just how well that offense ran. So I'm curious to kind of see how that bounces back. That being said, though, they saw a bunch of great pieces. Yeah. And we haven't even mentioned Dallas Goedert as well as their tight end, who as fringe, I mean, we say top 3 tight end in the league.
Top 5.
Top 5 for sure.
That's a hard category to crack.
That is tough.
There's a bunch of different tight ends.
That's fair.
So I would say top 5 complete tight end in the NFL.
Yeah. So I would say offensively, I would just want to make sure that if there are offensive line pieces that move or retire, is that you want to fill those as quickly as possible, because that whole team was built around obviously that offensive line and protecting Jalen Hurts and essentially creating running lanes for everyone, so they could run the ball first, open up the passing game in that play action, because they do that to perfection all season long. My concern for me is the defensive side of the ball and the defensive line. Just looking now, I'm seeing they have a lot. Fletcher Cox, Robert Quinn, Javon Hargrave, and then also James Bradbury as well. Now it looks like Fletcher Cox
you're also missing
still
Brandon Graham and Ndamukong Suh.
I know those are just the top 3
key rotational guys for that defense.
So now I see Fletcher Cox, it says void, so I think he's still on the team.
It's a void season, so they can completely cut all his cap if they cut him. He's also like 34, I believe.
He's 33 right now. He'll probably be 34 by the end of the year. So even then, though, let's say they re-sign all those guys, which they won't, but they're all older. So they're going to definitely need to get younger on that side of the ball. And then also James Bradbury, their number 1 corner. No, not their number 1 corner. Sorry, they're number 2. So I would say Darius Slay would be their number 1.
I guess. But Darius Slay is also over. He's 30 or be 31 next year. That's interesting. One of my big concern is that right side of the offensive line. So Jason Kelce there's a lot of retirement rumors circling around him. And then you have Isaac Samalo, who's also an unrestricted free agent as well. So that's interesting. And then Miles Sanders is also free agent. That is not as big of a deal with this running back class. I just am throwing him in there because he was a starter for them in 2022.
Well, it's interesting too, because I've thought a lot about that, because I actually, in my dynasty league, I have Miles Sanders, and I don't think that they're going to pay him. I think I can see Miles Sanders going to Miami. I think he would be a good fit for Miami. Then they'll draft like a rookie running back to go along with him.
Yeah.
But then, because if you look at the Eagles and how they play, it's like they would just kind of Miles Sanders was the number 1 guy, but I mean, Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott had a lot of goal line touchdowns, and it's just because it's like it was just their turn to run the ball.
Yeah.
Gainwell had full 4, Boston Scott had 3. Miles Sanders had 11, and
Yeah.
so he was, especially yard wise, was much
Yeah.
more clear number 1.
Another loss that we haven't talked about either is defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon to the Cardinals. So that's
Yeah,
another
that's
one.
true.
They lost both coordinators, and they're going to lose, most likely going to lose a litany of veteran role players. I'll put it that way. Some
Mhm.
leaders, some rotational players, but they're going to lose a big veteran presence in that locker room also. So it's going to be really interesting to watch them in
Yeah,
2023. I still think those core pieces, right, are going to be in place. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Nick Sirianni, I think is going to be a bona fide head coach. I don't think he's going to be a Doug Peterson 2.0.
no,
No.
he was actually, I think, a clear coach of the year candidate for me as
Yeah.
well. I think if it wasn't for the complete shock, I think the Eagles, we knew like that they could win the division, and they were maybe a little bit better than expected. So it's unfair that honestly Nick Sirianni didn't get coach of the year just because of what he did with the team. When it comes to the locker room presence, yes, you're going to lose obviously some veteran guys, but I'm not too concerned about any leadership changing of the guard because I look at Jalen Hurts and he's the type of leader I think I would want for my football team. Like he is so cool, calm, and collected. He knows the game. He supports all of his teammates. I think he's going to step into that any veteran leadership that is lost. If he doesn't already have it, it's just going to grow. And so I think the Eagles are going to be set for the next couple years to come. I don't think that we'll have a dynasty like what the Chiefs are going through right now with Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he's up there towards that quality. However, though, I could see them going with all the talent that they have still if a lot of these veteran pieces come back.
Yeah.
The next couple of years being a very fun time for Eagles fans.
No, yeah, definitely. Looking at what they have going into 2023, I have them at almost 10 million in cap space. And then they only have 6 total picks in the draft. They have a 2 firsts, a second, a third, and then 2 sevenths.
Yeah.
So to me that's interesting if they want to move back from one of those first round picks, maybe accumulate more picks. But
that's an interesting point actually too.
I
Coming
think
back to actually what you were talking about earlier with their Commanders episode, if the Commanders wanted to go get a quarterback and the Panthers pass, they could maybe do a trade.
Yeah.
Go up to 10.
Yeah. No, I think that would be interesting. There's going to be key people that the Eagles are going to have to replace, and they might skate by the skin of their teeth on in this offseason. But again, like I said, and kind of what you hinted at, if I had to choose a guy in the NFL to lead my locker room and to elevate the level of play of my players, Jalen Hurts is at the top of that list.
Yeah.
And so with Jalen Hurts under center, I'm very confident that the Eagles will at the very least be back in the playoffs next season. Most likely win this division again. So
well, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's just wrap up because I know it's interesting doing this research on the Eagles, and especially to this point. They have these 2 first-round picks. Let's say they don't trade back and everything. What do you think of the needs, and who do you think that they pick at 10 and at 30? And at 30?
So for me, 10 is best player available. If they want a Christian Gonzalez at corner, if they really want a tackle, I don't think that would really be it, but maybe an edge rusher to replace Brandon Graham. If Tyree Wilson makes it that far, I think that would be.
He's not getting past the Falcons. At the Falcons, Tyree Wilson's there. Yeah.
But no, like I think if they want an edge rusher, Lucas Van Ness is also another guy that I think would fit well there. So that's interesting. With 30, to me, completely depends if Jason Kelce retires or not. If Jason Kelce retires, I think John Michael Schmitz is the perfect replacement for him. I know they drafted Cam Jurgens last year, who's supposed to be the center from Memphis, but John Michael Schmitz was far and away the best interior offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl, and Osiris Torrance is getting top 15 hype.
Yeah.
Right. And John Michael Schmidt's center is second most valuable offensive line position. But to me, I think if you're going to get a center in the first round, you're going to have him for 5 years. You know he can come in and play at an NFL level, and you just lost your All-Pro, most likely Hall of Fame center to retirement. I think John Michael Schmitz is a great pick there. So
yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's the route that they go. I think receiver is not good. I don't agree with offensive line at 10. The more and more I think about it, I guess it just depends on what their needs are. Like, if they would lose a guard or two and then like Peter Skoronski's there, be like, okay, that's immediate fill of the need, especially with how important, and it seems like they know how important offensive line is. But that being said, I don't think that's going to happen. So going corner, like let's say they don't sign James Bradbury, they just go get like one of the top corners in this draft. Go get Brian Branch maybe or something like that. I think would be great.
No, I think that would be very good, getting a Brian Branch. Sorry, I got a cough. Actually, Brian Branch, I think, would also be a great fit. Very versatile guy. He's not the true outside corner that I think James Bradbury is. I don't think he would be the replacement for that. But I think he's a very versatile piece that could really strengthen the back end of this defense. So, what do you think at 30?
At 30, that one to me is on. I think they're both best player available. But if they were to go offensive line, I could see that route there. But also at the same time, though, too, I think can see them maybe even stretch a little bit on defensive interior. We're seeing how old they're getting on the defensive line. A lot of those guys are also free agency as well. If Kalijah Cansey is still there, I think you could think that would be a great guy to go get him. A guy who I see falling, who I could also see them taking there, because also it's the 30th overall pick, Brian Breesy. I think that he's starting to fall, and I think that would be a respectable spot for him. Has some potential, and I think that would fill a need for sure there.
No, yeah. Could you imagine if they get like Lucas Van Ness at 10 and then Brian Breesy at 30? That would be disgusting.
That would be a win. That would be a win.
Oh, definitely. And then you have Jordan Davis at nose tackle.
Yeah.
That front would be terrifying. So we're going to leave you guys with that thought in your head. I hope the Eagles get that draft. That would be just absolutely insane. But other than that, we're going to wrap up there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and smash that bell notification so Tyler and I can let you know whenever we post new content. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. So if you guys could help us reach that goal, that would be much appreciated. And other than that, we will see you next time.